Hey, Carrie Burchill here with some more leadership tips and life tips to help you really rock your best. I'd love to get in contact with you, hear how this information resonates for you, and just be a part of your journey as we navigate this new space of being more innovative and better problem solvers coming out of COVID. So some of the coaching and consulting work that I've done lately has really been helping leaders manage the overwhelm. I was with an executive group of healthcare leaders today, and this kind of inspired more clarity for you around the topic because they talked about the overwhelm, the prioritization, how they'd come to work and really have a plan, and then it just kind of all goes to pot once the day starts, right? And when we think about overwhelm, there's a couple of squeaky important things to know, and you've seen me draw this on other videos. When we spend a lot of time in stuff out of our control, we have more factors of being overwhelmed, burned out, anxious, because we're living in stuff that we can't control. That just perpetrates this feeling of overwhelm and anxiety. Next to that, we have this sort of box of what we might be able to influence. Now, whether you're a community member, a parent, a leader, there's areas in our life that we control, that we can have influence. There's really very little that we can actually control. And then at the center of this is the stuff that we do control. And our overwhelm and burnout happens when we spend too much time out here, and you've seen me kind of draw this day-to-day spin that we all get caught in, right? We need to get to the bottom of our spins and really direct that around things that we can control. So let me kind of put this in context a little bit. So, some of the things just off the top of my head that we don't control that are front facing with lots of people right now: conflict between Ukraine and Russia, the economy just being upside down, right? COVID had its impact, right? People we knew died, daycare, schools, all that stuff is out of our control. We had to respond, but gosh, we couldn't really control what was happening with all of that. We also have national job shortages. We have jobs that are being redesigned. Many organizations are facing financial, just stress, right? All stuff that we feel, we don't control, right? It's in that tiny irritating box. So let me kind of add to this a little bit. Pre-COVID, squeaky pen again. Pre-COVID, our standard of what we expected from people, our ability of, as simple as, post a job and get some half decent applicants, right, was up here. This was kind of our standard. And now we're more like, gosh, if I get a couple of applicants, if I just get a warm body, doing some work with healthcare, of course, we want people there to take care of the patients. If there's no one, dealing with police officers, right? Like, they need bodies to keep communities safe, and it's just hard. Throw any industry and you're gonna find it difficult because we're not at the pre-COVID standard, right? And out of that comes this dynamic of we've had to adjust. So we talk about staffing, finances and organizations, investments going upside down with the economy. We have just general, lots of mental health stuff going on. There's just been some shifts. And it means that our sort of new or now standard is down here more. Now we will grow back up. My pens are drying out on me. We will rebuild and get back to this standard. It's not going to be through the same ways and the same strategies. We'll get there though, if we start focusing more on what we do control. Because if we don't focus on where we are and just accept that and look at what we can control, then we're going to be so burned out as community members and leaders and experts in our field that we're not going to be present to help people build up to a higher standard, whatever that standard is, whatever is relatable to you. So when we think of the economy, there's little that we can control to make the economy stabilize, right? Although I can control my spending. If we think about our kids coming to us and asking for more money on what seems like superficial stuff, doesn't that kid get how hard you're working? Thinking of just a neighbor next door, he's got a second job, he's been doing it for years. I mean, he's putting in 80 plus hours a week, and his kid comes to him and wants, I'm imagining this, money for a chocolate bar or something. I mean, gosh, all that parent, next door neighbor, friend can do is show up well, whatever the response is for that child, right? Can they control the economy? No. Can they control how they respond to their child about the stress of the environment right now? Yeah. Can we control the national shortage of employees? No. Can I lean into those difficult conversations with staff members about their happiness at work? Yeah. Doesn't mean that I have to be a therapist, an expert, or whatever, but I can have open, honest, awkward conversations to sort of assess where people are at and talk them through what they need to be happier at work, right? So we've got to leverage this small box of stuff that we do control if we're going to create that psychological safety that we want, so that we can be relational and innovative and better problem solvers. If we're out here, my squares are erased. If we're out here in that sphere of stuff that we don't control and we're go, 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 we're not slowing down for those relationships. We're stuck in that transactional space, and what we need to get into is the transformational space, because we're forming something new as we come out of COVID. So the tough message in today is accept that we're down here in terms of the standard. It's not where we want to be, and it's not where we're going to be forever, but we have a different standard now. So let's acknowledge that, manage what we can control, lean into what we can control, so that your overwhelm reduces, your anxiety reduces, your sense of fatigue lightens, and you can show up well so that your teams can really engage in the work that you see that needs to happen. So your families are there, so you're showing up well for your family and your loved ones. So the bottom line about the overwhelm thing, manage what you can control and recognize it's going to be nowhere near what it used to be. And that standard where you would self-assess, like, go, woohoo, superwoman, superman, super everything, I rocked work today, that feeling and that standard is going to look and feel different, because there are so many more variables that you don't control. It hasn't sort of, the dust hasn't finished settling, right? You're still bombarded by surprises or repeating things that you thought were done. So just accept the standard is not as pretty and shiny and high as it used to be. Shift your standards, focus on that sphere you can control, and you'll feel lighter, you'll actually perform better, and your teams are going to accomplish more, which is going to pull you up to the standard that you want faster. Okay, I'm done my rant. I would love to partner with you. Reach out to me. I'm happy to chat with you. Just even quick calls around where you're maybe resisting accepting that standard, celebrating when you see some progress, or when you've just done that really important emotional intelligence work of showing up the best you can given those crazy variables that are difficult to sort of juggle and respond to. Carrie Burchell, leadership coach and consultant, and I'm here to help you slow down to go fast.